You're listening to the True North Success Podcast. Real stories of personal, professional, and financial wins from Alberta's best. With your hosts, Gary Ma and Amy Kim.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, my special guest is Monty Ghosh. Monty is a physician specializing in internal and addiction medicine. Monty is a passionate advocate, leader, and policy developer and researcher dedicated to improving health equity in Alberta. His work focuses on supporting stigmatized communities and advancing harm reduction and empowering patients to shape their care through policy, education, and innovative community-based programs. So it's a real pleasure to have Monty on the show today. So welcome, Monty.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Monty, I gave a brief overview of your success. Can you feed in the detail of what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of have multiple different jobs and multiple different hats, if you may. So I am an assistant professor at the University of Calgary and the University of Alberta. So I'm in both schools. And I focus on research around vulnerable populations. So people experiencing homelessness, mental health concerns, substance use, other vulnerabilities. So that's really the area of my focus in terms of my research. And includes things such as looking at virtual harm reduction, looking at things such as wastewater and wastewater testing, as well as trying to develop programs around managing individuals who have these experiences in homelessness, and how to best make supports for them in both the community as well as the acute care settings, just like hospitals. So that's my research work, but clinically, I do internal medicine at the University of Alberta. And I also do addiction medicine in Calgary at the Foothills Medical Hospital, as well as the Rocky View General Hospital as well. So I'm kind of based between both of those sites.
Awesome. Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit more about like your the story behind? So could you share how you first started in this field, and was there any initial drew you to it, and were there any defining moments that helped shape the path you're on today?
Absolutely. I mean, there's quite a few moments, and I guess there's just multiple different stories that kind of took me here in some respects. So kind of a confluence of different stories. But the first I would say is that when I graduated from residency, I moved to Calgary to be closer to my father, and he was undergoing chemotherapy, I think, at the time. And one of the big things that I was trying to do is trying to get a job. And it's hard to find a job in Calgary at the time. And I was very much interested in doing international medicine and doing Doctors Without Borders. And I was getting some training around that through my disaster medicine background. But I met a gentleman named Martin Labrie, and he's a palliative care doctor who works in the inner city. And when I met him, his big thing was, why are you looking around? Why are you trying to go overseas to do global medicine or global health when there's so much need and support that needs to be happening here in Calgary? I was in Calgary at the time, and so he took me through the inner city, showed me the work that he was up to and what he was doing, and showed me the real need that is required in the inner city. And so that's kind of how I got started in this field, and I started working with the Alex Community Health Center, the Calgary Drop-In Center. And one of the big things I noticed was that their medical needs weren't as needed. Their medical needs weren't as great, I should say, as compared to their substance use needs and management of substance use. And after that, that's when I kind of started to pursue a background in substance use management. Sorry about the rings there. So that's kind of what my focus was sort of substance use. And so I went back and did some training in substance use management with the University of Calgary, and it just got me down this path of managing people's care needs when they're experiencing vulnerabilities.
Yeah, we noticed that there are more and more people they are addicted to those addictions, right? So as a physician specializing in addiction medicine and patient advocacy, what differentiates your approach to supporting the individuals facing stigmatized to the health challenges?
I think the biggest thing is that we need to kind of meet them where they're at. Many individuals experiencing homelessness, substance use concerns, as you mentioned, have faced stigma. and it makes them not want to reach out to supports and help in the community, whether that's physicians, healthcare, whether it's social services in their community as well. And so for that reason, we really have to be where they're at, show compassion, show empathy, be there for them, and be there to support them. So that's kind of what my approach is that you really have to be with them where they're at, and be there to support them with what their needs are at that moment, and not be pushy, give them choices, and be supportive as best you can.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So I'm hearing from you that like it's important to, make them feel like more safe, and then they are getting support rather than being judged or like pushed to do something that they might not ready to go ahead. So awesome. So how have harm reduction and community-based care and patient, collaboration shape the way that you address complex needs like addiction, homelessness, and then systematic inequities?
So like how I use harm reduction to support those.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
I,
how you have been, yeah, shaped that collaborations the way you addressed today.
so I try to approach things through what it's called a trauma-informed care lens. And so what I mean by that is that is essentially, and trauma-informed care is like a sort of a branch, a philosophy of care, if you may, in medicine and other specialties as well, in which you really want to understand a person, and instead of asking what's wrong with you, ask what happened to you as an
Mm,
individual. And we know that trauma has really shaped the outcomes of many people. And this was all based off of some research in the past around adverse childhood experiences. So back in the 90s, and actually the 80s to a certain extent, there was a study that was done at a Kaiser Permanente, which is a group in the States that does healthcare and provides health resources. It's mostly in California. And what they did was they looked at the 10 most common adverse childhood experiences. And this includes physical and emotional and neglect, physical, emotional, sexual abuse. It includes things such as having a parent that's divorced, a parent that was in corrections, a parent who was assaulted, substance use and mental health concerns in a parent as well. And what they found was that out of these traumatic experience, if you had 4 or more out of these 10, you were at a higher likelihood of having poor outcomes later on in life. So this includes traumatic brain injury. This includes mental health and substance use concerns. This includes cancer and diabetes, early teen pregnancy, HIV, Hep C, but it also includes decreased opportunities to educational advancement, occupational advancement, and overall wellness. And so knowing that these are factors that are sometimes out of the control of the individual, you can understand why their health outcomes are why they're at, because it wasn't their choice. It was these adverse childhood experiences. And so coming with that lens that trauma has shaped a person, and that they're that their outcomes are because of this trauma, that has nothing to do with them, essentially. We can recognize, for example, that substance use isn't a behavioral choice. It was something that was, not something that was just in the cards for them. And that gives you the sense of empathy that that no longer are you blaming them for what's going on, but you understand that it's the outcomes of society that's placed them where they're at this moment. I'm not doing a good job explaining it, I feel, but that's kind of the gist of it. Um,
Well, yeah, I think you're doing great job because I can relate that to many of your points that um, the traumas. So we are not just looking at the symptoms, not just looking at the what's really happening a surface level. It seems like you are actually looking at the individual level, the deeper level, where this is actually coming from. And rather than just judging by looking at it, actually what caused, like how this person got here, right? And then that has so much stories behind the individual, so that we shouldn't be shaming the person, and the person shouldn't feel shameful to, step forward and getting help. I think that's what I'm getting. Is that
that's
quite
exactly it.
close to what you?
You got it. You got it.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. So, awesome. So, what is the one of the biggest challenges you had overcome in your career so far?
I think just buy-in sometimes for some of the projects and ideas. Sometimes some of them are very complicated and very big and on a very large scale. and you really need to work with partners across all disciplines and groups and sectors. So I often in my work have to work with not just the health sector, but also with the social service sector, also
Mm-hmm.
with the justice sector and police, also with the government. And so this work really transcends multiple different sectors. It can make it very, very complicated because we know that the wellness of our patients is not just within health, it's within the broader system as a whole. So it's incredibly important that we need to work within these systems, and it can be very, very complicated because you're trying to juggle multiple groups at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's tough. It's not easy, but it also gives you an understanding as to how broad systems work and how systems level thinking works.
Mm-hmm.
So as a clinician, we often very much focus on the patient, the individual. But when you're working in this type of field, you really have to go a bit broader and really focus on the system as a whole, which is much more complicated, but has more public health and population level health outcomes, which means that you can impact more at a higher level than necessarily at the ground level with just one person. Both are equally
Right.
important, though.
Yeah, I can imagine because when it comes to, working with multiple parties, they have their own, position and, their, philosophy there too, and they have different systems. So we have to all work together. I'm a developer in a real estate, so I deal with a lot of parties like the city and the contractors, and then, the investors. So I can only imagine how complicated it would be when it comes to your story. So, and also have to make wide enough to be able to cover the needs, general, right? Not it's just not the specific individual. So, yeah. So I can only imagine. So.
Yeah.
Were there any key experiences or mindset shifts that helps you navigate challenges, take that ownership and involve from a physician to a advocacy, continue to inspire the way that you support the patient today? Because not every patient gone down to the route that you are on today.
Yeah, that's true. So like I mean that's a really good point that people because of their life circumstances have a very different trajectory. And so in terms of experiences and stories I can share, I'm just trying to think of some. I mean, I think there's a lot of inequity in this world, and it doesn't need to be that way. And patients, I find that sometimes the best solutions for some of the biggest problems and challenges facing some of our patients are from the patients themselves. And so a story that I often share is the story of the National Overdose Response Service. So there's different ways that program got started. One was through Rebecca Morris Miller and Kim Ritchie. So they had launched a similar program, a phone line to help reverse overdoses in Ontario. But from the Alberta side of things, from where I was at, and this was in 2016, I was just talking to a patient of mine who was in Grand Prairie, and I was asking him if he was using if he was using drugs at the time, and I asked him if he was using alone, if he had an naloxone kit, and he told me that he has an naloxone kit, and naloxone kits are the anti-reversal drugs, the reversal drugs, I should say, for an opioid overdose. He had that, but he said he kind of was using alone, he kind of wasn't. When I met and I asked him like, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, "Well, I FaceTime my friend in Edmonton, and we use drugs together." So I thought, okay. I'm like, well, what happens if one of you overdoses? And he said that, well, we have each other's address and we can call 911. So it was a very brilliant idea. And so like one of the big things we state in harm reduction is that you should never use drugs alone. Because if you do
Mm-hmm.
overdose, you need someone to resuscitate you, to reverse you from your overdose using naloxone, because we do have an antidote, right? Which is naloxone. So he said he was using FaceTime with his friend, and at the time, about 80% of drug deaths from opioid poisonings or overdoses, were happening in people's own homes while they're using alone. So this was a huge solution that this gentleman came up with, and so we tried to run with that and try to create a phone line in which to help reverse overdoses. And so then I partnered with a group in Ontario. There's a group in BC who was doing something similar as well and had their own story. And we collectively created this program called the National Overdose Response Service. So I mean, so again, like it goes to show the solutions often come from people who are living their circumstance. and they can often come up with solutions to help navigate through that.
Okay, so I really love that idea. So, could you tell us a little bit more about that? Sorry, the name of the line that I just
Yeah,
had in my head and it just gone.
it's called the National Overdose Response Service,
Yes.
and it's currently run by Lisa Morris Miller, who's a good friend and colleague.
So, is it anyone can have access to that line if they want to?
Exactly. So anybody who's using substances can access the line if they want to be safe.
Yes.
And they call the line, they give them their address, they unlock their front door, and they use their drugs. And if they become unresponsive on the phone line, we dispatch emergency services to their home. It's being run nationally. It's being run in conjunction with through funding through Health Canada, and so it's yeah, it's one of our largest services in the country, and for supporting people who are using substances on a virtual level, and it's done reasonably well.
Yeah, I think that's really brilliant, especially all those some stigma around people are not feeling comfortable share, what they're doing, and even though they need some help, so they can just call that number. Is that number or how they get a hold? Could you share the number if that's okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually I'll bring it up on my screen here. It's 188 sorry, I should know this by now off by heart. You'd think I would, right? It's
No
one
worries.
eight 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 688 6677. And so it's essentially 1-888-688 NORS. And so yeah, so it's a great service, and the website is www.nors.ca. And on the website, you can access multiple different services and supports.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that our audience is gonna be really appreciated. They can share with their, loved ones that they wanted to help as well. So okay, so what exciting plans or initiatives do you have coming up over the next 6 to 12 months?
So I'm working on a project with the University of Calgary and a group called Aqua, and my colleague Dr. Michael Parkins, looking at wastewater detection of substances. So we're looking at wastewater. We're partnered with a bunch of different groups and communities, including the city of Calgary and the city of Edmonton, and we're broadening this work throughout the rest of Canada as well. And it's all about monitoring what are drugs, what are the drugs that people are consuming through the wastewater, through the water supply. And so
Okay.
we
I'm not quite familiar with this very, very foreign concept to me. Could
yeah.
you tell me more about like how they are related to wastewater and then the addiction?
Yeah, absolutely. So during the pandemic, during COVID, we were actually measuring COVID in the wastewater. So even if you have COVID, you often go to the bathroom. You still go to the bathroom, right? And whatever you put into the toilet often is parts of COVID. And so we can actually detect that in the wastewater. And so we could tell at a population level how much COVID was in the community, which is very,
Wow.
very helpful, right? In terms of
Yeah.
determining responses. And so we could do the same with substances as well in wastewater. So we were able to look and see that there were certain substances in wastewater, such as fentanyl, carfentanil, and we were able to detect those levels and quantify them in the wastewater all at the same time. And so it's been a reasonably successful project so far. We're expanding it through other jurisdictions, and it's been I hopefully think it'll be a good tool to help support people who are using substances in the community.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Yes. And now that reminds me that one time I watched news and then they were talking about that they can do some research with the wastewater and then they can find out what they are eating, what they are, what's going on with
Yeah.
our body like that. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's brilliant. So it sounds like things are going well with you. So we're going to talk a little bit about your financial success. So um, many, busy medical professionals are earning strong incomes right now, but it often requires a significant investment of time and the energy. The looking ahead, a common goal is to like maintain the same level of income or like a lifestyle while working maybe less in the future, especially with the inflation at all-time high. So as a result, many people are exploring ways to generate income outside of their primary work, such as like investing in stocks, in cryptocurrency, precious metals, or real estate. What are your thoughts about income outside of work?
Mm. So good question. So I think it's important to diversify. So I mean, I have a financial planner who really helps me out with a lot of the financial pieces to my work. I don't think about income as much as I probably should because I'm so focused on my work and I love what I do. But it's my financial planner who really takes the bulk of the work and making sure that I am able to create a good nest egg for myself for later on in life. Now I do have other hobbies on the side that are not quite income generating per se, but they're fun regardless, and they kind of generate some support. So I have like a travel Instagram account that has been quite popular, I guess, among certain circles. So like 250,000 followers on that, and then TikTok, I have about 105 followers or 105,000 followers on that, and so those are kind of side streams of work that I do, but they're not necessarily revenue generating. But they're fun, and maybe one day they could be. But for me, I think it's important that if you're going to make money, you got to do what you love doing, else it's a
100%.
slog. And you want to, I mean, it doesn't feel like work when you really love what you're up to.
100%. Yeah, we have expression in Asian country like that too. So when
Mhm.
you having fun, the person who does what they love, they, sorry, it's the person who does what they think that it should do never can, catch up with the people who they do what they love in
Yeah.
terms of even finance and success. So yeah, totally, I can relate to that. So awesome. So as a wrap up, what advice would you share with the individuals navigating addiction and stigma or barriers to care who wants to reclaim their voice?
Mm. That's a really good question. I think for people who are suffering from stigma and trying to reclaim their voice, I just say try your best to get
Mm-hmm.
engaged, try to become an advocate. It's hard to though, but I also think on the flip side that it's advocates, people who are in a place of privilege, also need to lift up the voices of those who don't. So I'm very much in a place of privilege right now in my life, and I need to help lift the voices of others who don't necessarily have that privilege, and
Mm-hmm.
bring that to the same level. So it's the responsibility of all parties involved to make sure the voices of those most vulnerable are focused on, heard, and acted upon.
Right, right.
So I think it's important. How you do that exactly, it varies. It varies based on context, of course, but it's a hugely important thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so don't give up. Don't feel like we are alone. Just reach out for help. And even there's a line now you can just call without exposing or disclosing to your family. One of my close friends that recently he actually got out of that addiction a couple years ago, and he was very passionate that like, oh, I want to help other people because I did it so I can help other people do the same thing.
Yeah.
So, is it like there's a community there that the patient who went through and then now they wanted to share their successful stories like that?
Absolutely. There's a few groups that are out there. So Smart Recovery is one of them. AA is another. So Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. So these sort of 12-step based programming groups are very popular. There's group therapy within adult addiction services in Calgary and Edmonton. And last but not least, though, there's also peer networks and peer supports done through the Canadian Mental Health Association in Calgary and Edmonton, but also done through Alberta Health Services in Recovery Alberta. So there's all these peer networks that are there. So we're people who have walked the walk and actually talk the talk and help support people who need it the most. And I think that's so key and crucial. It helps with their own personal wellness too, when you're helping
Mm-hmm.
others. So it's important to have and important to do.
I think so. Yeah, that's very important too. Yeah, I love that. So thank you so much, Monty, for your
Thank you.
time today and sharing some of your great insights and inspiring stories with us. It was a great pleasure to have you on the show today. So if people would like to connect with you, how they can get a hold of you?
Through my email, ghosh@ualberta.ca.
Awesome. And do you want to share a little bit about your travel, Instagram or post? Because I think it's fun. So why not sharing more? So because there are a lot of people love traveling, including myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm at the bro less traveled. So it's my Instagram and TikTok are BROLESSTRV, sorry, TRAVEL, TRAVELED. So one L, and traveled. So Bro Less Traveled, the Bro Less Traveled. So it's a Instagram, TikTok account. Yes, it's 250,000 followers.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's lots of content on there. It's very cultural content. It's not my own personal content. Like it's not, I should say it's my personal content, but it doesn't show my face on it.
Oh, I
And
see.
so it's like I don't know if you can see it here, but it's like little travel
Yeah,
content here. So yeah,
awesome.
perfect.
That is amazing. I admire people very diligent and hardworking at their work areas, industry, but also uh, never stop investing in the passion and then the love they have, for their own, right? So it's always important. So thank you. Have a great day, Monty.
Thank you as well. Take care. Hey,
Thank you.
see you. Bye.
Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at truenorthsuccessshow.com/guest. We'd love to hear from you.